Hi, this is Jaap from NeuroTask, and I'm now going to demonstrate how to program a free recall task, which is surprisingly simple to do with the drag and drop system in SurvBee. Now first we're going to create a new experiment, a blank one, an empty one, and let's call it free recall. So I'll say create new survey, which could also be an experiment. I do close. And of course we'll first have some instruction which will change. Please try to remember the following words. And as usual, everything is saved automatically, although this might take a few minutes. No, I mean seconds, a few seconds. Okay, now we go to experiment. So first we create trials. So we do the create trials. And when we open this, we'll see an Excel like sheet. Now we'll throw away the columns we don't need very much by right clicking, and then I'll do delete selected columns. And now we have a column that's called Word. We can change the name by, if we want to, by rename this column, which we won't do because Word suits us just fine. And we can change the word. So we have, I'll just use 5 words to remember, but you can easily extend it to 15, which is the usual number in neuropsychology tests. And so we'll change this to, say, house, and Control Z, you undo the last one. If you do just tab, it creates a new column which we don't want in this case. House, guitar. I will do enter instead, and then it will create a new row. You just have to play around with it. It works very much like Excel. You can also copy and paste from Excel, which I'll show you in a different demo. House, guitar, island, say car, and sand. These are just completely random words. I think maybe car is a little too short. I'll just do something flower instead. Okay, so we have our trials. Now notice that the variable that holds the trial is called trials. You can change this to something else like stimuli or whatever you feel like. Now we have our trials, so how are we going to show them? We have a special trial loop for that called for each trial, which is right here. And this is special because everything we throw in here will be repeated for each of the trials we have created. So we have 5 words, so it will be repeated 5 times. Now what will we do? We'll just show them the words with text. So we open standard and we add text, and now we'll add some text. So what we want to show is for each trial we want to show the word. Now if we run this script and it's already fully functional, you'll see that you just see trial word, and that's all you see very quickly. So one of the things we have to do is make sure it doesn't show you the word trial word with the dot in the middle, but what is inside, and you do that with an is sign, very much like in Excel when you want to refer to a cell rather than just show a number itself. And if you've ever worked with Excel, you will recognize this. Also, the next thing we want to do is wait for a little bit. So we want to show the word and then wait for, say, 1 second. And in experiment, I'll just close the standard, we have a special function for that, called item for that, called awaiting time. That means whenever this is encountered, the system will wait, the web page will wait for however many milliseconds you've specified. And you can set the number of milliseconds. I've here only done I don't have to do anything because it's by default it's 1000 milliseconds. When that's happened, I want to remove the word and have a little pause with a blank screen. And removing is done with clear. That doesn't take any further customization. And finally, I want to wait maybe another 500 milliseconds. So I do a waiting time. And now we'll do wait 500 instead of 1000. Again, as I showed you in the previous video, if you click this, you can toggle and everything will is more concise and a little bit easier to read. We can run this script now. We have our instruction, which normally would be much more extensive, of course. And now we see guitar, island, flower, sand, and finished. Normally you would now ask the subject to write down the words. And this is what we'll do next. This is done with one of the form items. And in this case we'll use, let's see, a paragraph, which is a question that may require several lines to answer. And we won't put it inside, but after the loop. Why? Because of course we don't want to repeat it for every word. We want to first show the words and then we want to show the question. And the question is going to be, please write down any words you remember in any order. And we'll call this remembered. Remembered. And this is all we need to add in order for the experiment to work already. It's already saved. We'll do it again and see what happens now. House, guitar, island, flower, sand. House, guitar, sand. Ah, that's all I remember. What a shame. Now, finished. Now we can add a few more things. In this case, let's have an instruction at the end, which will change to a thank you page, which is nice. So we'll say here, thank you. And here, we appreciate your participation. And another thing we might do is have maybe a little pause just before we ask what the subject remembers. So we'll do that again with a waiting time. And sometimes you have to play around a little bit with the drag and drop. It can be a little temperamental. And here we will say we'll wait maybe 10 seconds. And now we have a finished experiment. And this is how easy it can be using SurvBee.